Hi, everyone, and it's Angelique here with yet another episode of Better Together. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. In case there's anyone unfamiliar with how to use Crowdcast, if you want to ask any questions during the talk, then there is an Ask a Question button just at the bottom. And if you want to have a conversation, there is a comment section on the right side. Our guest today is Sissel from MadeToGrow. And MadeToGrow aims to help people in terms of motivating them and helping their abilities in terms of coping with challenges, adversity, and this ranges from individuals to companies as well. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's so nice to be here.
Lovely
Thanks
to
for the
have you.
invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking we could just really start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and MadeToGrow.
Okay, sure. So it's a long story, but try to make it short. For, I would say, more than 20 years, I've been so engaged into people potential and how can I contribute in building better workplaces and help individuals and leaders to prosper and find a way to develop themselves and create good results for themselves and for the company. So I've been both in quite a few tech companies within HR and management, and also been starting a couple of companies myself. So MadeToGrow is my second company, and this was founded based on a huge engagement to try to reach out in technical way to people with the growth mindset message and how to actually train people and help people to build a robust mindset. So yeah, so that's a short version of me. I'm 46. I have three girls, and yeah.
Lovely. And you said that you were interested in kind of developing people's potential. Tell us just a little bit of kind of the background of that, how it came about.
Oh, I had my first epiphany when I was 23 about this contributing in workplaces kind of direction, and I went to school, finished my bachelor. I finally found my direction in life through this. And when I was 27, I started to work for Microsoft. And one of their values was people potential. And I really found that value super inspiring. And I thought, yeah, this potential we have in us is so important. And I gradually came more aware of the huge differences between the top performers, the top talents that we all strive to either be or to at least hire and work with. But then also I saw quite many were on the other end of the spectrum, falling out of the company, like didn't perform as well maybe. And then the rest of us, like 80%, were somewhere in the middle and hopefully doing quite well. But often it came across as important which kind of manager you have, or the work environment, or the opportunities that you were given in your work situation. So I was more and more looking into how can we find ways to lift the potential in all, not only the top 10%. And this took me back to school again. I was 39, did the Masters of Science with 25-year-old students, and that was in itself quite a huge challenge. And there was to try to combine and to see what are the similarities between the good leaders at work with the good teachers in the school system and the good environments, and similarities to the great work or study environment for the students. So I wanted to see, can I maybe bring some of the experience I have into the school system and try to start early, because I think some of the most important qualities or skills that we actually need through life is important to start with even in school. And then we might help people to go through school system, graduate and go into workplaces and be contributing to company results, and yeah, realize some potential in themselves and others.
Yeah.
So that's basically the main journey, and seeing how people can really lift themselves is a huge passion of mine.
Yeah. You also mentioned previously that you came across the concept of growth mindset while you were in school. Could you just explain to us a little bit about what growth mindset is?
It's actually quite a fun story because I was doing this study partly because I wanted to enter the school system to have the knowledge transfer in there. So 1 year into the studies, and I was already starting planning my master thesis and my research work, and we were on holiday with an extended family. And one of the members in the family group here, she's a teacher. And I told her about my studies and my master's degree and my thesis. And she said, "Have you heard about growth mindset and the work that Carol Dweck has done?" And this was new to me. So I started to check this up. And immediately when I found the first step of information here, I really, really saw that this is the missing link. Like this is the missing piece research-wise, because I'm grown up in a culture where we tend to believe that intelligence and talent is some innate capacities, like you are either born with high, medium, or low levels, um, and it tends to be like that for the rest of your life. But this research in growth mindset tells us that the brain is really malleable and you can change your intelligence, you can expand your talents and change personality if you want to, because the brain is so malleable. So I thought, oh, I finally have this research piece to bring into my work because I'm quite research oriented as well.
Yeah.
And showing it's not only about intelligence or talent, it's about how we actually make people grow, how we help them see opportunities, how we support them, give them challenges, opportunities, and support. And then growth mindset is a super, super important key in that work.
Yeah.
So it fits very nicely with the potential interest that I have.
Yeah. So the opposite of this is a fixed mindset, I presume, in
Yeah.
which you essentially takes in some of the stuff that you just said, that you really believe in the static elements. I'm just wondering how have it how have you used kind of growth mindset in terms of, either personally or in your workplace?
Yeah. So immediately I felt I had this urge to reach out to people with this important message and important knowledge. I soon realized that it's not a quick fix. It's nice to know that the brain is malleable and that you can be conscious about your mindset and how you think in different situations. But because we have lived for many years, we have so much programming already unconsciously in the brain. So how I think, how I feel, how I react in different situations is so much programmed and often in an unconscious level. So I saw that to manage to actually build growth mindset in people, I had to make some kind of more comprehensive learning model for it, not only go out and teach maybe 1 or 2 hours and hope that people grasp the concepts and manage to develop themselves just by hearing about it. And of course, I realized that I have a mix. Of course, I have absolutely plenty of fixed mindset elements myself, even though I also have some growth. Most people are somewhere in between. So starting the journey with figuring out how do I actually think and feel, for example, when I'm presenting in front of people, how do I cope with uncertainty and change? What's my mindset when I meet people and try to figure out what they think about me, for example? What's the, like all the thoughts that comes up, like we have 70 or 80,000 thoughts during a day. So what's the thoughts that I'm actually having? So I had to go walk my own journey here to become conscious about my growth mindset. And then I started to be conscious on how I can switch. So for example, being afraid of failing or dealing really poorly with critique. I really was bad at handling critique because I felt it was some kind of a sign that I missed something important, or maybe I lack some kind of intelligence or something. So like step by step trying to work on my thoughts and how I implement more growth mindset thoughts. Like instead of being afraid of failing, I now embrace failing. It's still painful to fail, but I try to embrace it more and see it as a learning opportunity and a natural path when you go through challenges.
Yeah.
So and also I after some time I started to open up about some of my own story here in regards to my own insecurities, especially around my intelligence. Most people that meet me now as an adult maybe see my CV on LinkedIn and think maybe I have done all the right steps and like my education and work and career. But I had this huge insecurity for many years, which I kept hidden for a long time. And I was really afraid of not being smart enough. And that was actually connected back to my younger days because I was dropping out of school, basically. Even though I knew this is not so much about me not being smart, but making bad choices for myself as a teenager.
Yeah.
But like when I came into work life and I saw so many smart people, I came to Microsoft and they were talking fast, and it was like all this cultural language. And I was starting to think, maybe I'm not so smart. Maybe they are so much smarter than me. And even though I had many great career steps in the coming years, I always had this uncertainty and feeling of maybe I am less smart. So I really have to pretend that I'm smart. I have to work really hard to prove myself that I'm good enough. Um, so after I finished my master's and I was more into the growth mindset, I started to open up and telling this story. And then a lot of things happened. First, I managed to become more secure in myself because talking about stuff and showing your insecurities and flaws makes you actually stronger. But also, I got so much feedback from others saying that, wow, it's so great to hear and like hear that you have thought little about yourself and your own intelligence is really surprising.
Yeah.
So, and I have my own insecurities. So, listening to you makes it easier for me to actually open up
Yeah.
and tell something about my own thoughts and insecurities because we all have them.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's very true, especially in the in any journey really, and especially also as entrepreneurs and starting something completely different or
Yeah.
starting something new. For the first time, there is you bring your whole self to the table, and that means
Absolutely.
that your whole self also gets to be questioned in a way. Absolutely. So I see myself in that as well. Especially, of course, English is my first language. Norwegian is my third.
Wow.
So
And
in
your
terms of,
Norwegian is good.
thank you. And so in terms of coming to that, you really start to focus a little bit more on the negative side of the failings, essentially,
Yeah.
rather than the success.
Mm.
I'm just wondering if you could actually, you said that you've developed, there's an app for
Yeah.
this, and I was wondering if you could just talk to us a little about that in terms of how you brought the content from what you learned and really kind of tried to narrow it down and put it into a product.
Absolutely. So yeah, first I start out with a really high focus on growth mindset. So this is about training growth mindset in people. So and I was quickly introduced to a school. I was super interested in hearing about growth mindset because it was quite unfamiliar yet in Norway back 6-7 years ago. So I first built the program manually, and then I was starting to build the pieces together. How can I train this? How can I teach this? I saw, okay, so this is school or students in school. Many of them might not be as motivated. Maybe they have struggles with seeing meaning in all the stuff that they're doing in school and seeing themselves in a longer perspective in life. So I thought we have to open up the Pandora box in people. So I added motivation and meaning as an important part of the growth mindset because it doesn't matter if I tell a student that you can be as good as you want in math as long as you practice hard if they don't have any motivation for being at school in the first place. So I managed to, or I was happy or lucky to have 1 day a week for 6 weeks with this school, testing out the content. It was eighth graders. So it was a really, really super exciting crowd. They are unfiltered in their feedback. So it was a rough start, but it was really, really helpful, and it was a great learning journey. And I was super impressed by teachers who are actually doing teaching in the classroom every day, many hours. So, but from that, we started to build the first tech platform. And then we enrolled two more schools in this project. We had both middle school and high schools in this round. And the first version was like not very super nice. And it was just a teaching content on the platform, basically. And we spent the first half year going through the content, teaching every week with the students. And they gave us massively important feedback. They wanted us to rather teach them like a book, like step by step, chapter by chapter. They said we would like to have the content or the topics when we need it. And then we did research on, okay, what's the need for people? Like, okay, I feel insecure, or I struggle with exam nerves, or I have a hardship with my friends, or I struggle with coping with my mindset or whatever. So we picked those different kind of topics and we built them into to programs around those kind of needs. So, and then we developed the app, which was launched now it's almost 2 years ago in Google Play and App Store. So now it's been developed quite much for these 2 years. We have more than 50 programs in there. Of course, mindset is one of the topics, and it's free to download and also use the entire mindset theme. And we have motivation, of course, meaning, mastery, and then we also have 4 more, which is learning, relationship, self-esteem, and health. So we approach like life mastery and develop your own potential in a holistic approach. Everything is really research-based. We work with the University of Oslo in the research pod. So so we bring this out to people, school system from middle school and up. We do this with teachers, and we also combine the app with teaching, either in classroom, which is not so easy right now, but we do digital programs, webinars, and other programs, which puts everything into content.
Yeah, and how did you also translate this? Because a part of essentially your target market is also within the workplace. And how did you also translate this to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that was quite a tough journey because we wanted to be an app for many people. So, and I think we have managed to do that by focusing on so many of the core elements, which is important for most of us. Like all of us struggle with negative and positive thoughts. How can we change negative to positive? We struggle with self-esteem. We might struggle with health issues. We might struggle with relationships. We might struggle with finding direction in our life. And this is quite consistent throughout life. So this might be relevant if you're 18 or 25 or 46. Like it's many of those topics and areas which is in the core of how to actually function and master different kind of life arenas. So so it seems like we managed to find this middle ground. We see that the youngest students, they need much more of assistance from, for example, teachers or other facilitators. So, yeah, at least from 18 and up, I think the app is really useful for many. And we have people over 70 as well using the app. So
wow,
that's, yeah, it's great.
Lovely. And do you also have in-house kind of competence, like in terms of your team who kind of help with this?
So my core team is technical people and design people, like developing all the technical stuff. So all the content is mainly made by me, based on my 25-year experience in this area and constant learning and research work that I do. But of course, I have a lot of people in my network. I have colleagues. I have a board or director of board who is also really, really engaged in this and has a lot of expertise and experience. So I have a huge network of people, and I do collaborate with people in making some of the content all the way or testing the content. to see how it works. So
Th-
yeah.
That's amazing. And you're also in a leap, and
Mhm.
you're also a member of Norway Health Tech.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering kind of how your journey has been as an entrepreneur and kind of coming into that environment and how this has helped or
Mm.
how has it helped essentially?
For me, I felt so privileged to be accepted into a leap 3 years ago because we actually founded MadeToGrow a couple months after I came in. So I only came here with my computer and a few slides, trying to convince it that I had an exciting idea and the capability to actually pull this through. So it's been really, really amazing to be in the environment and having the business support, and also all the advisors that's accessible for elite members. And just because you are quite alone in your journey, as unless you start your company together with one or two or three other people. But I was by myself for a long time. So having a support group and people to talk with and have support and ideas and inspiration from and help from, not to say the least, you need a lot of help. And actually, they also open doors. So, for example, we managed to have funding from Innovation Norway. I don't think we could have had that if we were not a part of Elite, because we got access directly to one of the advisors in Innovation Norway. So, it's been really, really crucial for us for these first years. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
lovely.
And a lot
And
of cool companies here. I think that's so great.
yeah,
So many great startups.
sure. And when we were talking previously, you had mentioned something about a TED Talk that you saw about kind of the other side of the coin and often the side that you don't see of how close you are to certain things. And I was just wondering if you could just
Ah,
talk a little
yeah,
bit
that
about that.
that TED Talk. Yeah. Yes, it was this entrepreneur. I don't recall his name or the name of the talk, but he has started a few companies, and he talked about how many times he had failed or quit before he succeeded. And he was standing close to a wall, and he said, if I knew that if I just had continued to bang my head toward the wall a few more times, I would actually have managed to go through the wall and succeed.
Mm.
And I often put up that metaphor or that image for myself, like, just continue. Don't give up. If you believe hard enough in your purpose and in the mission for the company, and what you would like to bring to the people, to the world, or whatever is your purpose in your journey, continue. And don't be afraid to ask for help or try new directions or find new strategies. You never fail. You just learn as you go and continue to bang the head toward the wall, and then you will succeed eventually, as long as the idea is good.
Yeah,
And I think most ideas are
yeah,
good enough to have a success if you actually work hard on them.
yeah.
Mm.
We have a question over here from the call, and it says, "Do you see that people have a hard time to find motivation now with home office and the pandemic?"
Yes, absolutely. And I think it seems to be like either or. So I meet some people who really find inspiration in using this kind of opportunity or challenge to turn around and do something new or try something new or change something in their life, while others maybe feel more afraid, either of their health or losing their job. So many might feel some kind of um, passive reaction because it's difficult to actually act because the world is quite uncertain. So yeah, I hear many people who feel it's difficult. So and for me as well, like 1 year back, and we got the lockdown. Um, I think I sat for almost 2 weeks, like almost paralyzed, like what is happening? Because everything was canceled, all the lectures, all the teaching, everything that we actually earn money from, because the app doesn't generate that much revenue yet.
Mm.
Everything was canceled or delayed. So, but then I felt, okay, there is some reason for this anyway. There is something good that can come out of this. how can I use this situation for something good and to turn around and do something better. So for me, it's again about the mindset. It's how you actually be conscious about what's holding me back with my thoughts, and how can I shift to other thoughts that might help me, give me energy, and start to look for opportunities, remind myself of my purpose in life. So if you like feel it's difficult to find motivation, start to look for some kind of purpose. Why am I here? What do I want to contribute with? If I can help one person or five or 10 or 100, it doesn't matter. I can do something good for someone. And as soon as you have that kind of leading star, everything gets a bit easier. It might be difficult still, but you have at least some kind of star to to point at and focus on, and then it might be easy to find, okay, what can I learn, what can I do, who do I want to be, how do I want to be, which people do I need to know, and then get going. Don't sit passively and wait for something to happen. Put your feet in front of each other and just walk and do something.
Yeah. And we have obviously a lot of entrepreneurs over here who are probably really struggling. And of course, over the past year, um, may have hit a wall.
Absolutely.
And I was just, wondering also how kind of what advice or kind of what things have you also used in your company and in your workplace to kind of motivate the people around you, and how can they really utilize the growth mindset in terms of not being so passive as you mentioned?
So I think I need to divide the question in two, because in the first part, what do I do to actually manage to not hit the wall? Because we all can be capable of hitting the wall and stop. I think taking care of yourself, putting on the mask so you can get your own oxygen is super, super important. So for me, I have my morning routines, which sets me up for the day. I start with meditation every morning. I do half an hour exercise in the morning. I try to have a cold shower in the morning. I'm not always manage to do it, but I try. And then I eat a healthy breakfast. So I see my body and my brain as my car. And I need to take care of my car to be able to drive and to make it work and to be fast. And also, I can help much more people if I am running my own body in a nice way. So, how to keep my energy up, how to keep my passion alive, how to keep my engagement. And I also have my evening routines. I try to get enough sleep. It's still a bad habit of mine to go to bed too late, but I'm working on it. But having those routines is super important, and it's small steps. Implement them gradually over time, but they will be super helpful. So yeah, with people, I try to live as I teach, helping people with finding their routines, how to build their own life in a way that supports them in their goals, and really working hard on actually helping people to change mindset, because I really believe that growth mindset is a master key to almost anything, basically. If you would like to change health habits, if you would like to start a company, if you would like to manage some hard test in school, it's all about your thoughts and how you manage to control your thinking and feeling and behaviors, and then you can manage to pull through even more. But it's like building a muscle, so you have to work on it continuously over time, small steps. So that's basically what I'm trying to do with both my team and people who want to listen.
Yeah. And um, in kind of, as you said, how has the pandemic really kind of shaped the way you work now as opposed to previously? You said that, of course, you have less lectures, and I'm just wondering what kind of are the things might have changed within as the landscape has changed within the past year.
So we were obviously already digital with the app, but we were leaning too much on the analog teaching, like consultancy work, and adding the app as a part of those deliveries. So we realized that in Corona times, we do not get to deliver much analog. So for us, the biggest transformation last year has been to build more programs outside and around the app. So we are basically building like modules and lessons, like step by step. For example, some program we call the Life Reset. We both have it as a 3-day leadership event or self-leadership event, but we also build it as a 5-module with 7 lessons in each module program, which takes people through a step-by-step process, finding your purpose and motivation, setting your goals, and breaking them down to everyday focus and activities, and building the health aspects and take care of your health, and also, of course, working on limiting beliefs and changing to growth mindset and implementing everything into everyday life. So we're so more into the digital delivery programs. So some of the same customers that we worked with before Corona, they are now back working with us with the same kind of content, but now 100% digital. So that's been the greatest journey for us.
And where do you kind of see the journey really taking MadeToGrow going forward?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. But of course, we are in Norway now. The dream is to also launch internationally, both the app and other programs that we have, and reach globally, because I think what we have created is really relevant, especially in these days with Corona and many people who struggles with loneliness or health problems, or they lose their job or other aspects of life. We all go through those ups and downs anyway. So I think many people can benefit from what we are teaching. So international focus is the next step for us.
Lovely. I think we're just about out of time, but that was a really great place to end. And as you said, considering the circumstances that we do find ourselves in, those are very relevant and very kind of the things that people struggle with more and more on a daily basis. And I remember something that you said, that it's not only about taking care of your body, it's also about taking care of your mind as well. So I think that's fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.